There is a kind of tired that coffee can't fix. There is a strangeness that no one talks about, and there is a change so profound happening within you that the world hasn't even noticed yet. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like a stranger in your own skin? Like the things that once made sense now feel empty. Like a different kind of silence has taken hold of you, and sometimes it's frightening. Here is the truth that few have the courage to tell you. You are not breaking. You are being reborn. Everything you feel, that deep fatigue, that rejection of the superficial, that feeling of being out of sync with the noisy world, is not a flaw. They are signs. They are the whispers of your soul confirming that you are evolving. And this transformation, the most important one of your life, is happening in silence, far from the spotlight, in the sanctuary of your inner world. In this video, we will decipher these 10 signs together. I will show you that what you called a crisis is actually the awakening of your truest essence. You will recognize yourself in each point. You will understand the logic behind what seemed like chaos, and you will leave here with the clarity that you are on the right path, a path of meaning, simplicity, and inner power. Because when you stop fighting the tide and start sailing with it, you discover that your soul always knew the way. Pause for a moment and pay attention to this fatigue that follows you. It's not a common tiredness, the kind a good night's sleep fixes. It's a profound exhaustion, as if you were carrying an invisible weight on your shoulders all the time. We tend to blame ourselves, think it's laziness, a lack of vitamins, or discouragement. But what if I told you this could be the most important evolution of your life, happening in secret? Your soul is in full motion, reconstructing everything inside, and this demands an insane amount of energy. It's as if you were a house undergoing a complete renovation. On the outside, it seems quiet, but inside there is dust, demolition, and the construction of new foundations. All your fuel is being directed to this monumental work. So the first thing you need to do is stop fighting this state. Our tendency is to struggle, drink more coffee, force yourself to go out, load up on stimulants. But this fight is against yourself. It's like trying to run a marathon while your body is trying to mend a broken bone. The mind screams, produce, but the soul whispers, rest. And who will you listen to? The real courage at this moment is not in forcing things, but in allowing yourself to stop, in honoring this slower rhythm. The evolution of the soul does not follow the calendar of capitalist productivity. It has its own time, cyclical and organic. Let me give you a practical example, something you can start today. Instead of seeing the weekend as a list of tasks and obligatory socializing, try the replenishment Saturday. Block it in your calendar even if it's just 2 hours. Turn off all devices. And do only what your body asks. Lie on the couch and stare at the ceiling. Drink tea in silence. Take a walk with no destination, listening only to the birds. The goal is zero productivity. It is to allow yourself to feel the boredom, the stillness. In this emptiness is where the soul can speak the loudest and continue its work of awakening. You are not being unproductive. You are being a gardener watering the invisible roots of your own existence. Notice how all of this is linked to a detachment from old formulas of success. Society sells us that infinite energy is synonymous with victory. But what about those who feel life more deeply? They are just tuned to a different frequency. Your fatigue is the sign that you no longer fit into the shallow model of always on. It is an invitation, however uncomfortable, to seek a meaning that goes beyond tiredness and easy stimulation. When you begin to respect this need for rest, something magical happens. Clarity begins to sprout in the silence, and this clarity that arises in rest, this new way of seeing life, it doesn't come alone. It brings an interesting and sometimes disturbing side effect. Suddenly, everything that used to distract and entertain you completely loses its appeal. The empty conversations, the noisy shows, that feeling of always being busy but never fulfilled. It all sounds false. And then many people ask themselves, wow, did I become boring, antisocial? Hold on, this is not arrogance. It is an even stronger sign than fatigue. It is your essence beginning a great cleansing process. So you started noticing that the noisy happy hour is no longer fun at all, that scrolling through your social media feed feels like eating sand, and even that series everyone loves can't hold your attention anymore. The first reaction is shock. What's wrong with me? The answer is absolutely nothing. In fact, everything is very right. Imagine that your soul, your essential being, is like a fine wine that is aging and becoming more complex. It no longer accepts being stored in a plastic cup. It needs a proper glass. The cheap distractions, the meaningless chatter, are the plastic cup. Your soul is, silently, demanding a vessel worthy of it. This is one of the clearest signs that a deep evolution is underway. It's your internal navigation system saying, enough with the junk, I need real nutrients. You're not becoming boring or antisocial, you're becoming selective. It's a natural upgrade of your emotional and spiritual software. Shallow conversation no longer feeds you because you are developing a hunger for topics with meaning, for connections that go beyond the surface. It's as if before you were feeding on emotional fast food, and now your body is asking for an organic meal, made with ingredients that truly strengthen you. The danger here is forcing yourself back into the superficial out of fear of being wrong or isolating yourself. The practical tip is, don't force yourself, but don't cloister yourself either. Start making micro adjustments. Instead of accepting every invitation, choose one per month that really has the potential for a good conversation. On apps, follow pages that talk about psychology, philosophy, science, art, things that feed your new hunger. Swap an hour of social media for a documentary about the universe or reading a chapter of a book like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. You are redirecting your appetite, not killing it, and this new palate for life creates a domino effect within you. As you nourish yourself with what is substantial, it becomes harder to swallow what is empty. It's a point of no return, and that's wonderful. You begin to notice beauty in a detail, depth in a shared silence, richness in a well-discussed idea. This is the awakening of your internal senses. They are becoming more refined, more sensitive. Of course, the noise of the world will bother you more. A fine antenna picks up both the good signal and the interference. But hold on, because this heightened sensitivity comes with a price and a mission. It won't just let you better appreciate what is good. It will inevitably shine a giant spotlight on everything inside you that you've tried to hide, ignore, or sweep under the rug. And there, my friend, the journey really begins. Because when the external loses its fake shine, the internal demands to be seen, and it doesn't come with flowers. It comes with the wounds, the fears, and the shadows you left in the twilight. And there it is, the thing you most feared facing. That paralyzing fear, that old hurt you swallowed dry, that character flaw you disguised with a joke. Now, in your moments of silence, it materializes in front of you without asking permission. It's no longer a distant memory, it's a presence. And the temptation is huge to run, distract yourself, turn on the TV, grab the phone, anything to not look at it. But listen, this is not an attack, nor a setback. It's an invitation to courage. Your soul is not punishing you. It's telling you, we can't keep carrying this hidden anymore. It's time to integrate. It's time to become whole. Think of your being as a house. For years, you locked a room full of junk, broken things, painful memories. You simply ignored the door. But now in your evolution, you want to live in the whole house. You want space, light, fresh air. But to do that, you need to open that door and clean it out. Is it scary? Absolutely. Is it necessary? Absolutely. This is the most important work of your life, to look at your own shadow and say, you are also part of me. Let's deal with this together. The essence of growth is not just in the light, but in the courage to walk in the dark with a flashlight. How to do this in practice? No conspiracy theory. Start with a journal, a notes app on your phone, or even recording audio for yourself. Set aside 10 minutes twice a week and name what comes up. Don't judge, just observe and write. Today I felt small when my boss said that. That rejection from adolescence still hurts. I'm afraid of being alone. The simple act of naming takes away the ghostly power of it. Another powerful tool is the simplicity of art. Doodling, painting abstractly, listening to instrumental music and letting the emotion move. You don't need to be your own psychologist. You just need to allow yourself to feel and witness. This process of facing what's inside is the true awakening of personal strength. Because when you know your monsters, they lose the power to sabotage you in the dark. You unlock that door. And what happens? You begin to realize you no longer need to spend a ridiculous amount of energy pretending everything is fine, hiding parts of yourself. The energy that was spent keeping the shadow locked away is now released. You feel lighter, more authentic, even if there is still pain. Authenticity is precisely that, being one. Being the hero and the villain of your own story, and accepting both roles, and this weight that disappears, this mask that falls. It has a fascinating external consequence. You begin to notice that the opinions of others, the ones that used to keep you up at night, begin to lose their strength. The judgment of others no longer defines you. Why? Because you've been through the internal tribunal. You've already examined yourself, you've seen the worst and decided to move forward anyway. When you make peace with what is inside you, the noise outside becomes just noise. And then a new kind of freedom, silent and powerful, begins to take over your way of being in the world. And it's like that, almost without you noticing, that a new way of being in the world is born. It's not a wall. It's not indifference, it's an internal stillness. The people around you may continue in the same dramas, the news in the same chaos, but something fundamental has changed. You are no longer sucked into the whirlwind. It's as if you had planted your feet on firm ground, in the center of a hurricane, and inside there was silence and calm. This is true detachment. It's not running away to the top of a mountain. It's learning to live in the midst of the agitation without letting it define the rhythm of your heart or obscure your essence. Many people confuse detachment with a lack of love, with coldness. Not at all. It's exactly the opposite. It's because you love your peace, your truth, so much that you decide not to lend your energy anymore to what destroys it. Think of your mind as a sky. Thoughts, worries about what others think, the news, are the clouds. Detachment is the deep understanding that you are not the passing clouds, but the sky, vast and immutable behind them. You watch the clouds, the problems, the opinions pass by, but you no longer identify with them. Your soul is learning to inhabit this space of the observer. How do you train this in daily life? With actions of simplicity and presence. When you're in a conversation that's turning into gossip, practice internal silence. Listen, but don't feed it. Instead of immediately reacting to an irritating message, breathe 3 times. Put the phone aside. You are stretching the space between the stimulus and your response. Another powerful exercise is information detox. Choose 1 day a week to not consume news or social media. Use that time for something that anchors you in the present. Cooking with attention, caring for a plant, observing your commute to work. You are removing the external noise to hear the internal clarity. And as you practice this, you notice the invisible bonds loosening. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to be in all groups, accept all invitations, respond to all criticism. There is a liberation from the weight of social performance. This is one of the greatest gifts of silent evolution, emotional independence. Your validation no longer comes from likes or praise. It comes from that quiet and safe place you are building within yourself. It is an awakening to your own sovereignty. And this sovereignty, this peace, hard won, has a very specific appetite. It is no longer satisfied with crumbs of distraction. It begins to demand real food for the mind and spirit. The void that was once filled with the noise of the world now cries out for meaning. And that's when you, almost without realizing it, begin to seek something more. Something that explains this inner transformation, that gives a name to what you are experiencing, that feeds this new and deep hunger that was born within you. Then comes this hunger. A different restlessness, which no entertainment delivery can satisfy. You may even try binge-watching a series, endless scrolling, but in the end, there's that taste of emptiness, of wasted time. It's because your internal palate has changed. Your soul now asks for main courses, no longer appetizers. This hunger for meaning is the clearest sign that you have ascended to a new level of existence. You no longer just want to pass the time. You want to fill time with something that echoes within you, that expands your inner horizons and converses with this essence that is awakening. It's as if before you were navigating the surface of an ocean, content with the waves. Now you feel a call to dive and explore the depths. Shallow conversations are no longer enough. You seek dialogues that touch the core of life, that discuss purpose, fear, love, death. Empty content no longer holds you. You seek documentaries, books, podcasts that explain the universe or the human mind. It is a search for clarity and understanding. You are literally trying to feed your own evolution. Authors like Carl Jung, Viktor Frankl, or Clarice Lispector can become beacons on this journey. What to do with this hunger? Don't ignore it. Nourish it with simplicity and intention. Instead of opening social media in your free time, open an audiobook app and listen to a chapter of Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Start an idea journal. Write down any thought, philosophical question, or insight you have. Join or create a small discussion group in person or online to talk about a book or documentary once a month. The key is to go slow, but with consistency. You are building an internal library of meaning that no one can take from you. And this new habit of seeking substance begins to change how you see the world around you. Everything becomes a potential source of learning. A tree on the path is not just a tree, it's an example of patient and silent growth. A difficulty at work is no longer just a problem, but a lesson in resilience. You begin to extract meaning even from difficult moments. This is a superpower. It is the soul using the intelligence of experience for its own expansion. Life stops being a series of random events and begins to look like a curriculum perfectly designed for your growth. However, this refined gaze, which seeks essence in everything, will naturally refine your taste and your environment. You begin to realize that the external chaos, the disorder, the excess of things and commitments no longer matches the internal clarity you are cultivating. There is a new tiredness, not of the body, but of the soul, in relation to the mess. And a call, soft yet insistent, for simplicity, order, and space. It is the next natural step to organize the exterior temple so that it reflects the peace you are discovering within. Suddenly, the mess in the room seems to scream. The schedule packed with superfluous commitments suffocates. The flood of notifications on your phone hurts. It's not being fussy. It's your soul asking for order on the outside because it has finally found some order inside. This attraction to simplicity is the materialization of your peace. You can't stand living in the noise anymore because you've discovered the melody of silence. And now you want your external world to be a sanctuary that reflects this internal state. It's a deep instinct to create an environment where your new essence can breathe, expand, and flourish without obstacles. Think of your mind as a pond. For years, you threw stones into it non-stop. Commitments, objects, information, debts, expectations. The water was always murky, agitated. Now, you've stopped, and the dust begins to settle. The water becomes crystal clear, and you perceive the beauty of that transparency. Simplicity is exactly that, stopping throwing stones into the pond. It is removing one by one the stones that are already there. Each useless object donated, each cancelled commitment, each uninstalled app is one less stone. More space for clarity, more silence to hear yourself. How to begin? With small actions, but of deep impact. Take one drawer today, just one. Throw away what's broken, donate what you haven't used in over a year. Feel the physical relief it brings. In your schedule, practice the protective no. No, I can't go to that event, I need to rest. It's a no to the world and a giant yes to your soul. Digitally do a cleanup. Unsubscribe from channels that don't add value. Delete old photos that only bring weight. Create rituals of simplicity. One screen-free hour a day. A walk without headphones. You are clearing the channel for evolution. This process of cleaning the outside has a magical side effect. It accelerates internal evolution. With less noise and clutter to process, your mind is freed up for what really matters. Clarity of thought increases. Creativity blossoms. Intuition, that subtle voice of the soul, becomes more audible. Your home, your schedule, your digital life become the temple of your new self. And in a clean and organized temple, the deepest insights arise naturally. You begin to notice patterns, to make connections that were impossible before amidst the chaos. And in this temple of simplicity and silence that you are building, a new kind of visitor begins to appear. They are messages, symbols, stories that come from a deep place, especially when the conscious door of the mind is ajar, in sleep. Dreams, which before were confusing fragments, can become vivid, strange, loaded with a symbolism that seems to speak directly to your heart. They are the next frontier, because when the external world quiets down, the internal world gains a powerful voice and needs a new language to communicate with you. The night becomes a theater, and you, without asking permission, are taken to the audience and the stage at the same time. Vivid dreams, sometimes so real you wake up confused, others so symbolic they seem like riddles. This is not just your brain cleaning up the day's files, it is your soul using the only time when the conscious mind, chatty and critical, finally shuts up. While you rest, it works. It processes what you haven't managed to yet, heals wounds with metaphors, and alerts you to paths or dangers with its own ancient language. Ignoring your dreams is like turning off the radio during an urgent and personal broadcast. Imagine your psyche as a large iceberg. The tiny tip above water is your conscious, rational mind. Everything submerged, gigantic and mysterious, is the unconscious. Dreams are the smoke signals that this submerged world sends to the surface. A recurring dream of being chased. It might be a fear you don't face while awake, a dream of flying. It might be a longing for freedom or a feeling of evolution. The essence of the night work is integration. It is making the submerged part and the visible part of the iceberg communicate, preventing you from navigating life, ignoring 90% of who you are. How to decipher this language? The first rule is, don't look for a universal dream dictionary online. The symbol is yours. Write it down. As soon as you wake up, even in the dark, grab your phone and record an audio or scribble keywords. Infinite staircase, dirty river, conversation with deceased grandfather. The simple act of recording sends a signal to your soul. I am listening. Over the days, ask yourself, where in my life do I feel stuck on an infinite staircase? What is polluted in my emotional life? What do I need to say goodbye to? Clarity comes with the practice of associating the dream image with your awake life context. And this practice of listening to dreams does something extraordinary. It strengthens your intuition channel. You begin to notice that those gut feelings or inner voices become clearer. It is the soul gaining confidence that you are, in fact, paying attention. It begins to communicate also in waking moments, through meaningful coincidences, so-called synchronicities, through a sudden certainty about a decision or an intuitive repulsion towards a person or situation. You are leaving the dictatorship of pure logic and entering a dialogue with the silent wisdom that lives within you. This constant dialogue, this flow of meaning from the inner world to the outer, generates a peculiar state of mind. You feel less like a victim of circumstances and more in partnership with an intelligent universe. And in this state, a deep and quiet feeling begins to sprout for no apparent reason. It's not euphoric happiness, it's a serene gratitude, which arises when observing a cup of hot tea, the cloudy sky, the simple fact of breathing. It is the soul, now more integrated, recognizing the beauty of the basic, the essential. It has found riches where before there was only routine. It doesn't come with fanfare. It doesn't always appear in great triumphs. It pops up suddenly in the middle of an ordinary day, when you notice the warmth of the sun on your face or the pure taste of a sip of water. It is a background gratitude, silent, that sprouts not from an abundance of things, but from the heightened perception of the miracle that is the simple fact of existing. This is one of the most sublime signs of evolution. When you stop seeking happiness in grand events and start finding it in the subtext of simplicity, it's because your soul is reconnecting with the source of everything. It is saying, the essential is already here. You are finally managing to see it. This is very different from forced gratitude, from that list we try to make mentally to attract good things. This one is involuntary. It is organic. It's as if a filter had been removed from your eyes. The world doesn't change, but your way of seeing it does. The color is more vivid. Time seems to slow down for a moment. It is the essence of life, pure, without the adornments of the mind that always wants more. This gratitude is the emotional silence that follows acceptance. It is you, finally, at peace with the present moment, without wanting to escape to the past or the future. How to cultivate this in a practical way? It's not about creating obligations, but about creating spaces of perception. Try the minute of the trivial miracle. Once a day, stop completely. Look at any banal object in front of you, a pen, a vase, the texture of the wall. Contemplate it for a full minute as if it were the most fascinating thing in the universe. Notice its color, shape, function. Another practice is sensory thanksgiving. Before a meal, close your eyes for 10 seconds and feel gratitude not for the food, but for the sense of smell that smells the aroma, for the palate that will taste the flavor. You are training your soul to inhabit the body and the senses, which are the direct portals to the now. And when you anchor yourself in this now, something inevitable happens. The noise of others' opinions decreases in volume. Suddenly, what the neighbor thinks of your car or how many likes your photo got seems irrelevant compared to the direct experience of being alive, breathing, feeling the wind. Gratitude for the simple fact of being creates a ruthless clarity about what really matters. You realize you've spent a lifetime seeking applause from an audience that wasn't really watching. The only audience that matters is your own consciousness, and it is, finally, present and satisfied. This internal satisfaction is the most solid foundation a human being can have, and from a solid foundation, an unshakable posture is born. You no longer need to bend, adjust, distort yourself to fit others' expectations, because you have found intrinsic value in yourself, nourished by gratitude for your own steps, for your own breath, It is from this point of quiet strength that you look at the world and realize you no longer need anyone's permission to be who you are. The search for external validation, which used to be such a noisy engine, simply shuts off. And then, almost without you noticing the exact moment, the magic question disappears. The one that echoed in your head before any post, any decision, any clothing choice. What will people think? The silence that takes the place of that echo is liberating. The opinions of others don't disappear. They simply become meteorological data. You look at them like someone looking at the weather forecast. Oh, there's a chance of criticism today. And then you grab your umbrella of internal clarity and go on your way, because your destination is not determined by the weather of others' opinions. Your soul has found its own north, and it is immune to passing winds. This is not arrogance. It is emotional sovereignty. It is the direct result of all the silent work that came before, facing the shadows, nourishing yourself with meaning, cleaning the outside. You have built an internal fortress, and as Viktor Frankl said, between the stimulus, the criticism, the praise, the indifference, and your response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom and your power. Before, that space was microscopic. You reacted on autopilot, seeking to please or defend yourself. Now, that space has expanded. In it, there is silence, there is clarity, there is the question, is this true for me? Your essence now inhabits that space. How to live this in daily life where social pressure is constant. Practice detachment from the reply. When you receive criticism, especially on social media, don't respond immediately. Let a day pass. Often, you'll realize the need to explain yourself or counterattack has simply evaporated. Another powerful exercise is to do something small, intentionally outside the expected pattern of you, and not tell anyone. Wear a color combination that doesn't match, go to the movies alone, change your commute to work. The reward is all yours, and this strengthens the muscle of self-validation. You are proving to yourself that the only necessary approval comes from within. The most beautiful effect of all this is the authenticity that naturally blossoms. Your words, your choices, your lifestyle begin to reflect more and more what you really are, and not what you think you should be. The relationships that remain are more truthful because they are attracted by your genuine self, not by a mask. Those that drift away simply make space. You realize you weren't just evolving, you were also selecting a life that fits you, not you fitting into a pre-molded life. And in this life that is now truly yours, an old ghost transforms into an ally. Loneliness, which was once synonymous with abandonment and neediness, loses its bitter taste. It is no longer a sentence, it is a choice. Because when you are your own safe harbor, the company you miss the most is, paradoxically, your own. You don't run inside yourself for lack of options, but out of hunger for yourself. And that is where you discover the greatest sign, the deepest and most transformative of all. Here is the final paradox of the journey. Loneliness, which society treated as a disease to be cured, reveals itself as the safest harbor you have ever known. It is no longer an emptiness to be filled with noise and people. It is a sacred space, filled with your own presence. You no longer miss the crowd. You feel instead a hunger for yourself. This deep desire to be with yourself, to dive into your own silence, is the ultimate evidence that you are becoming your own home. Your soul no longer needs external refuges. It has found a dwelling within you. This is the antithesis of depressive isolation. Isolation comes from fear, from rejection, and is heavy. The loneliness that embraces comes from fullness, from choice, and is light. It is the difference between being locked out of a house and being calm inside your own house with the door closed because you decided so. In this space, you are not alone. You are with. With your thoughts, your intuitions, your history, your essence. It is the laboratory where the soul integrates all experiences and weaves the fabric of your purpose. It is the stage where silent evolution reveals itself in its most complete form. How to distinguish and inhabit this positive loneliness? First, observe the intention. Are you withdrawing from something, a confrontation, a rejection, or to something, reading, creating, meditating, simply being? The second is healthy. Create a solitary reconnection ritual. It could be 15 minutes upon waking, sitting with coffee, no screens, just observing the morning, or an aimless walk on the weekend where you are your only conversation companion. The goal is not to do anything productive, but to strengthen the muscle of your own company. Gradually, you trade boredom for presence and anxiety for peace. And when you make peace with your own company, something changes forever in your relationship with the world. You stop going to places and maintaining relationships out of fear of being alone. You only go if you really want to. This is radical freedom. Your interactions become driven by a genuine desire to share, not by a need to fill a void. You become whole before relating, and therefore your bonds become healthier, lighter, more truthful. You don't suck energy, you exchange it. This is the essence of a mature relational life, born from silent self-love. So, here we are. You have just recognized the maps of your own silent evolution. This is not an end. It is a glorious starting point. Now, the question that really matters: what will you do with this clarity? Will you go back to ignoring the whispers of your soul, trying to fit into a mold that no longer holds you? Or will you have the courage to honor each of these signs? From today, I challenge you. When the fatigue comes, don't fight it. Listen. When the superficial bores you, don't force yourself. Seek meaning. When the shadow appears, don't run. Sit with it. Transform your loneliness into your temple and your simplicity into your strength. Stop asking the world for permission to be who you are already becoming. This journey is not lonely. Here at Mind's Silent Echo, we speak this same language, the language of depth, of inner transformation, and the courage to live from essence. If this content touched something in you, if you recognized yourself in at least one of these signs, then you belong to this community. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because here we will continue unraveling the mysteries of your mind and your soul, bringing more tools, reflections, and that clarity that illuminates the path. Your evolution has already begun. Now, it's time to walk with awareness, and I will be here next week with another step on this journey. Until then. And remember, the echo of your silence is the most important voice you will ever hear.